My wife left me on a Thursday evening, so quiet it felt unreal. She packed the suitcases she had already prepared in advance, placed her wedding ring on the coffee table, and said the words that cracked something deep in my chest. "I'm sorry, Adam. I love him. I have to go." I stood there unable to speak because shock has a strange way of making the world mute. She didn't cry. She didn't shake. She just walked out. A woman who had already rehearsed the moment so many times it no longer hurt her to perform it. The door closed softly, yet it felt like the loudest ending of my life. The first week after she left was a fog. I woke up to an empty bed, stared at the untouched pillow beside me, and wondered if love truly had an expiration date. The silence of the house became heavy like furniture. I couldn't move. I checked her social media once, saw a picture of her with him, smiling in a way she hadn't smiled with me in a long time, and closed it before it could destroy me any further. Friends told me I'd be fine. Family told me she didn't deserve me, but none of their words filled the hollow space in my chest. By the second week, I forced myself to live again. I cleaned the house, donated half of the things that reminded me of us, and bought a new couch. Not because I needed one, but because it symbolized a fresh start. I began going on walks at sunset, a habit I never knew I'd enjoy. I joined a fitness class at the local community center, partly to get out of the house, partly to get out of my head. That's where I met Mia. She wasn't some dramatic whirlwind of a woman. She didn't flirt, didn't pry, didn't even know I needed saving. She was simply kind. When class ended one afternoon, she asked if I wanted to join a group of them for smoothies. My first instinct was to say no. My second instinct was to say no louder. But something in me whispered that if I didn't take a step now, I might stay stuck in place forever. So, I said yes. Mia listened when I spoke and didn't judge when I admitted I was newly separated. She didn't ask for details. She didn't offer cliches. She just nodded and said, "That's hard. I'm glad you're still standing." And somehow those words meant more than anything anyone else had said in weeks. 1 month passed, 30 days since my wife walked out of my life. And by then, the shape of my days had changed. I wasn't healed. No, heartbreak doesn't heal in such a tidy timeline. But I was breathing again. I didn't cry over her name. I didn't replay our last argument. I didn't stalk her online. I didn't hate myself anymore. I was moving forward. Not fast, not perfectly, but forward. Then on a Sunday morning, she came back. I heard a soft knock at the door while I was making coffee. I opened it without checking the peephole, expecting a delivery. Instead, I froze. There she stood, my wife, or rather the woman who used to be my wife. Her hair was messy, her eyes swollen, her lips trembling. She looked nothing like the glowing woman who had walked out of my home a month ago. "Adam," she whispered, as if she wasn't sure she had the right to say my name anymore. I stepped aside, unwilling to give her my heart, but not cruel enough to leave her on the porch. She walked inside slowly, her eyes scanning the house, noticing the new couch, the new decor, the lack of her photos, the absence of her belongings. "It looks different," she said quietly. "It is," I replied. She swallowed hard. "Are you okay? I'm getting there?" Her chest rose shakily, as if my calmness hurt her more than anger ever could. She sank onto the armchair and buried her face in her hands. For a moment, she didn't speak. She just breathed like someone fighting not to collapse. Then she said it. "I made a mistake, Adam." I didn't respond. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because I genuinely didn't know what she expected me to say. She continued, "He wasn't who I thought he was." The fantasy fell apart. The excitement disappeared. He treated me like a convenience, not a partner. "And you thought coming back here would fix that?" I asked, keeping my voice even. She winced. "No, I hoped that maybe there was still a place for me. That maybe you hadn't moved on yet. That maybe—" She stopped, her eyes catching something behind me. Mia walked into the living room holding 2 mugs. She had arrived earlier to help me choose new curtains, something we had turned into a running joke. She froze too when she saw my wife sitting there. The room filled with a silence heavy enough to drown in. My wife's face palled. Who is she? I held my breath, not because I felt caught, but because I knew this moment would crack whatever illusion she still had. She's a friend, I said truthfully, but the way Mia subtly moved closer, the gentle way she held the mugs, the quiet confidence in her posture, everything about her presence made it clear that my wife was no longer the center of my world. My wife's eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "You replaced me already." I shook my head slowly. "You left. Remember, you made a choice. I didn't replace you. I rebuilt myself." She began crying softly at first, then harder as the realization sank in that the world hadn't paused for her return. Then I hadn't stayed frozen, waiting for her to reclaim the throne she'd abandoned. "Can we talk?" she asked desperately. "Please, Adam, just talk. Just give me a chance to explain. I want to come home. I want us back." I looked at her, the woman I once loved, the woman who broke me, the woman who suddenly wanted to undo her own decisions. And I felt something surprising. I felt calm. "I don't hate you," I said gently. "I don't wish you pain. But you walked out of this home, out of this marriage, out of us. And I can't rewind the moment you let go." Her tears streamed down her face. "So that's it? You're choosing her." "I'm choosing peace," I said, "and she just happens to be part of the life I'm building now." She looked around the house again at the couch she didn't choose, the walls she didn't decorate, the future she no longer fit into. The truth settled into her expression like dust on abandoned furniture. She stood slowly. "I'm too late," she whispered. I didn't respond. She walked to the door, paused, and turned back one last time. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with the quiet acceptance of someone who finally understood the weight of their own choices. "I hope she treats you better than I did." "She already does," I said softly. My wife, my former wife, nodded, opened the door, and stepped into a world that no longer included me. And for the first time since she left, I felt something like freedom. A new chapter had begun, and this time I wasn't reading it alone.